The Galactic Council chamber hung in orbit above the dead star known as Velcorum, a structure so vast that entire moons could have fit inside its central ring. Every species that mattered in the known galaxy had a seat here. Every species except, until recently, humanity. Ambassador Darian Voss, called Joe by his oldest friends, me by his mother when she was alive, and New York by the crew aboard the human diplomatic shuttle Resolute, walked into that chamber alone. No escort. No armed guard. No fleet at his back. Behind him, 47 Council warships held a firing solution on Earth. The chamber fell silent as he entered. 200 alien delegates stared at the single human who had walked through the gravity lock wearing nothing more than a pressed black suit and a titanium pin in the shape of a compass rose. Joe, whose full name was Darian Voss, who had once been a cargo pilot, then a linguist, then somehow the only person on Earth willing to make this walk, did not slow his pace. His boots clicked against the crystalline floor with the calm, even rhythm of a man who had made a decision and was simply delivering it. High Chancellor Zareth rose from the central dais. The Chancellor's species, the Veloru, stood 3 meters tall, with 6 multi-jointed arms and eyes that glowed a deep amber. Zareth had ruled the Council for 40 years. He had overseen the dissolution of 12 civilizations that refused integration. He was not accustomed to waiting. Ambassador Voss. You were given the terms of surrender. Humanity has 72 of your planetary hours to comply. The Council does not negotiate. We absorb. Joe stopped at the center podium. He placed both hands on the rail and looked up at Zareth without blinking. Around the chamber, the translator arrays hummed softly, converting his words into 400 known languages simultaneously. High Chancellor Zareth, Joe said, his voice carrying with practiced ease, I have not come to surrender. The murmur that rolled through the chamber was like a tide pulling back from shore. Delegate Day, the Veloru protocol officer and Zareth's personal aide, leaned toward the Chancellor and whispered something urgent. Zareth raised one hand, and De fell silent instantly. Then you have come to die on behalf of your species, Zareth said. We find that acceptable. No, said Joe. I've come to show you something. He reached into the inner pocket of his jacket and produced a small flat device, matte black, perfectly rectangular, no larger than the palm of his hand. Delegate Yi, the Mirati weapons analyst seated in the 3rd tier, immediately flagged it. Delegate Hai, the Sotheran security chief, rose to his feet and shouted for the guards. But Joe simply placed the device on the surface of the podium, screen facing up, and took one deliberate step back. What the Council does not know, Joe said, raising his voice now so that every translator array caught every syllable, is that 3 years ago, humanity stopped trying to build a fleet to fight you. We knew we couldn't win that war. You have more ships, more weapons, more centuries of experience. We accepted that. He paused. So we built something else instead. Zareth descended one step from the dais. You cannot threaten this council, Ambassador. I'm not threatening anyone, Joe said. I'm informing you. He turned to face the full chamber. Delegate Wa, the ancient Dravathi elder who had witnessed the fall of the Caesarian Empire, had gone very still. Of all the delegates present, Wa was the only one whose expression had shifted from contempt to something else, something that looked, in its alien way, like recognition. Joe continued. Embedded in the geological core of every inhabited continent on Earth are 17,000 autonomous signal repeaters. Each one is connected to every other one through a redundant quantum mesh that took us 11 years to build. The mesh does not communicate with our surface military. It does not control weapons. It does not operate shields. He let the silence stretch. It controls one thing. One function. One button, metaphorically speaking, though I do appreciate a good metaphor. Zareth had descended 2 more steps. What does this button do, Ambassador? It broadcasts, said Joe. Continuously. On every known frequency, in every direction, across a range of 400 light-years, which, as I'm sure the Council's cartographers are aware, covers 63% of your core territories. Delegate Day pulled up a star chart on the holographic display above the chamber. The range graphic bloomed outward from Earth like a slow, silent explosion, washing across star system after star system in pale blue light. The chamber went absolutely quiet. Joe allowed himself one small, controlled breath before continuing. The broadcast contains the full technical specifications of the Council's fleet movements over the past 30 years, including the classified operations your member species were not told about. The 17 colony suppressions. The false flag incident at Dravar Station. The names of the Council-funded mercenary groups that have been destabilizing the Outer Rim territories for a decade. He touched the device on the podium. The screen glowed a single steady green. It also contains, he said quietly, proof of where the Caesarian people actually went. Not destroyed. Not dissolved. Relocated without consent into labor roles under the Veloru expansion program. Delegate Wa already knows this. We suspect several others here do too. Wa said nothing. But the elder's four hands tightened on the edge of the seat. The broadcast is already queued, Joe said. It requires one action to stop it, the Council formally withdrawing its fleet from Earth orbit, in full view of the monitoring stations at Helix 9, on record. The moment that confirmation reaches our planetary mesh, verified independently, not on your word, Chancellor, the broadcast stops and the system goes dormant. Zareth stared at him from the dais. The amber glow of the Chancellor's eyes had shifted to something harder, colder. And if we fire on your planet before the fleet withdraws? Then the geological repeaters are shielded deep enough that the broadcast goes out automatically. And it broadcasts forever, because the system is designed to run without human oversight once activated. Joe straightened his jacket. We can't outshoot you, High Chancellor. We never could. But we are very, very good at finding things out, writing things down, and making sure everyone hears them. The Council session lasted 6 hours. Delegate High called for an immediate vote to destroy Earth and accept the information leak. He lost, badly. Delegate New York, the Quillari Systems engineer who had spent a career building the very communication networks that would carry the broadcast, was the first to formally request the fleet be withdrawn. Delegate Me, the Sotheran agricultural representative who had no stake in military politics but very much had a stake in not being exposed as complicit in labor trafficking, seconded the motion in under 30 seconds. Zareth did not vote. The Chancellor stood motionless on the dais as the tally climbed, watching Ambassador Darian Voss stand at the center podium with his hands folded behind his back, his expression composed, waiting. The motion passed. 161 votes to 39. The fleet over Earth began its withdrawal at 0400 hours, Greenwich Mean Time. The confirmation signal reached the planetary mesh at 0447. At 0448, the green light on the small black device went dark. Joe picked it up and put it back in his pocket. He thanked the chamber for its time. He walked back the way he had come, alone, boots clicking the same steady rhythm on the crystalline floor. Outside the chamber, Delegate Wa fell into step beside him. The old Dravathi moved slowly, but kept pace. Your species is very strange, Wa said. We've been told, said Joe. You had no weapon. We had the truth, Joe said. Turns out that's heavier. Wa was quiet for a long moment. Then the elder made a sound that the translator array rendered, imperfectly, as laughter. Ambassador Darian Voss, Joe, me, New York, and every other name people had ever called him, walked to the gravity lock, stepped through, and went home.